Hi viewers, this is Karunakar, lecturer in botany. Today we are going to discuss about phloem. The phloem is the complex tissue which acts as a transport system of soluble organic compounds within vascular plants. It's made up of living tissue which use target pressure and energy in the form of ATP to actively transport sugars to the plant organs such as the fruits, flowers, buds and roots. The other material that makes up the vascular plant's transport system, the xylem moves water and minerals from the root and is formed of non-living material. To see the function of phloem, through the system of translocation, the phloem moves photoassimilates mainly in the form of sucrose, sugars, and proteins from the leaves where they are produced by photosynthesis to the rest of the plant. The sugars are moved from the source, usually the leaves, to the phloem through active transport. The next step, translocation of the photoassimilates, is explained by the pressure flow hypothesis. When there is a high concentration of organic substances within the cells, an osmotic gradient is created. Water is drawn positively from the adjacent xylem over the gradient to create a sugar solution and a high turgor pressure within the phloem. The high turgor pressure causes the water and sugars to move through the tubes of the phloem into the sink tissues. Example, roots, growing tips of the stems, and leaves, flowers, and fruits. When the sink receives the sugar solution, the sugars are used for growth and other processes. As the concentration of sugars reduces in the solution, the amount of water reflects from the xylem also drops. This results in low pressure in the phloem at the sink. Where there are areas of high and low pressure, the photoassimilates and water are consistently moved around the plant in both directions. You see the structure of uh, phloem. The structure of the phloem is made up of several components. Each of the components work together to facilitate the conduction of sugars and amino acids from a source to sink tissues where they are consumed or stored. You see the diagram. In this diagram, it shows phloem cells. Phloem transports sugars and other items in angiosperms. Sieve tube elements contain the sugar solution. Sieve tube cells are surrounded by various support cells. You see the diagram. This is the bottom of the diagram. Companion cells and cell nucleus, vacuoles is there, and left side bundle sheath cell, vacuole, and chloroplast. And top of the diagram, the intermediate cell is there, and plasmodesmata, and sieve tube elements, sieve plate, and transverse cell, cell wall, in growths. Parenchyma cell is there. You see the sieve elements are elongated, narrow cells which are connected together to form the sieve tube structure of the phloem. The sieve element cells are the most highly specialized cell type found in plants. They are unique in that they do not contain a nucleus at maturity and are also lacking in organelles such as ribosomes and cytosol and Golgi apparatus, maximizing available space for the translocation of materials. There are two main types of sieve elements. One is the sieve member, which is found in angiosperm, and the more primitive sieve cells, which are associated with gymnosperms. Both are derived from a common mother cell form. You see the sieve plates at the connections between sieve member cells or sieve plates, which are modified plasma desmata. Sieve plates are relatively large, thin areas of pores that facilitate the exchange of materials between the element cells. The sieve plates also act as a barrier to prevent the loss of sap when the problem is cut or damaged, often by an insect or herbivorous animal. After injury, a unique protein called P protein, it is called as phloem protein, which is formed within the sieve element, is released from its anchor site and accumulates to form a clot on the pores of the sieve plate and prevent loss of sap at the damaged site. In gymnosperms, the sieve elements display more primitive features than in angiosperms, and instead of sieve plates have numerous pores at the tapered end of the cell walls for material to pass through directly. You see the companion cells. Each sieve element cell is usually closely associated with a companion cell in angiosperms and an albuminous cell or Strasburger cell in gymnosperms. Companion cells have a nucleus, are packed with dense cytoplasm contain and many ribosomes and many mitochondria. This means that the companion cells are able to undertake the metabolic reactions and other cellular functions which the sieve elements cannot perform as it lacks the appropriate organelles. The sieve elements are therefore dependent upon the companion cells for their functioning and survival. The sieve tube and companion cells are connected via a plasma desmata, a microscopic channel connecting the cytoplasm of the cells, which allows the transfer of the source sucrose, proteins, and other molecules to the sieve elements. The companion cells are thus responsible for fueling the transport of materials around the plant and to the sink tissues, as well as facilitating the loading of sieve tubes within the product of photosynthesis and uploading at the sink tissues. Additionally, the companion cells generate and transmit signals such as defense signals and phytochromes which are transported through the phloem to the sink organs. Then if you see the parenchyma is a collection of cells which makes up the pillar of plant tissues. They have thin but flexible walls made up of cellulose. Within the phloem, the parenchyma's main function is the storage of starch, fats and proteins as well tannins and resins in certain plants. You see the sclerenchyma is the main support tissue of the phloem which provides stiffness and strength to the plant. Sclerenchyma comes into two forms, fibers and sclerites. Both are characterized by a thick secondary cell wall and are usually dead upon reaching maturity. The bast fibers which support the tension strength while allowing flexible of the phloem are narrow, elongated cells with walls of thick cellulose, hemicellulose and lignin and a narrow lumen. And sclerites are slightly shorter, irregularly shaped cells which add compression strength to the phloem although somewhat restrict flexibility. Sclerites act somewhat as a protective measure from herbivory by generating a gritty texture when chewed. You see the terms of biology, xylem, one of two types of transport tissue within vascular plants. Xylem is responsible for the transport of water from the roots to the leaves and shoots. You see the photosynthesis, the process which most plants use to convert energy from the sunlight, water, and carbon dioxide into oxygen and carbohydrates. If you see the photoassimilates the biological compounds which are produced by photosynthesis. You see the ATP. So adenosine triphosphate is the high energy molecule that transports energy for metabolism within cells. You see the questions from this topic. What is the main function of the phloem? What is the main function of the phloem? You see that transporting nutrients from a source to a sink and transporting nutrients from a sink to a source and transporting water from a sink to a source. Another one is transporting water from a source to a sink. And if you see the another question, what service does the companion cells not provide to sieve elements? Providing energy and communication between cells and physical rigidity and unloading photoassimilation to sink tissues. Answer is 2, means communication between cells. What does the P protein do? Option A increases the rate of metabolism within the companion cells and builds the sieve plates and forms a clot cover a sieve plate when the phloem is damaged. And D works within the phloem to transport sap. The answer is 3. Forms a clot cover a sieve plate when the phloem is damaged. This is the phloem, information of phloem. You see the continuation of these.